And oversight means that I oversee the implementation of the budgets. So once the budgets are submitted, it is the responsibility of my office to ensure that I track through those budgets to ensure that whatever is targeted in there is actually achieved. I do this by reporting on a quarterly basis. So I receive reports from the spending entities and I report on this, showing exactly where we are in terms of absorption rates and in terms of any other non-financial targets that are part of the performance. Then there is the controlling role, and this involves the approval of the withdrawals. So all withdrawals from the counties, from the national government, they come to my office for approval before the funds can be spent. I do not make payments. I approve withdrawals, and then once the funds are in the operational accounts, the payments are made by the accounting officers. That clarification is very, very important. The reporting role. You must have seen, I have just released the national government report, and next week I'm releasing the county government report, which will show what we did for the whole of the last financial year in terms of budget implementation. That is not the audit report. The Auditor General, whom I'm always mixed up with, is called FCPA Nancy Gathungu, and she will be coming. She will be visiting you soon. As soon as I finish mine, she then moves in and looks at your financial statements to ensure that whatever you reported as having been spent was done lawfully and with value for money. So that is the reporting. So I report 4 times a year. After every quarter, I report. So the one that you are now seeing in the media is the one for the end of the financial year, and we'll be looking at part of that as part of my presentation. Advisory role. Whom do I advise? I don't advise the president, like the advisors in State House, no. But I advise Parliament when funds have been stopped, as they are about to for some entities, some counties here. I remember when I reported as CoB in 2019, 15 counties were not receiving any funds. The funding had been stopped for persistent material breach. They had been asked to pay their debts, they were not paying. So the CS for Finance stopped funding. Now, when such a situation occurs, it is only my office that can unlock that. I have to get to this entity, ensure that they have complied with the non-compliance that was there initially, and confirm to Parliament. That is where the advisory role comes in. We also do investigation related to budget implementation. A lot of times we get letters, sometimes anonymous, sometimes they are signed, and they tell us, ile project, ile ulituma pesa, nothing is happening. All the money has been eaten. At that point, we must verify. So I will send some officers, and also along with the county budget coordinator, and they will do a preliminary investigation to fact find, so that we can hand over this to other investigative authorities. Once we have found, for instance, that there is nothing on the ground, this becomes a criminal matter, and then we can escalate it. If it is financial in nature, to EACC. If it is criminal in nature, probably there has been theft, we give it to DCI, as the case may be. We do also alternative dispute resolution under Article 252, 1B. When you have wrangles, either in the counties or even in the national government or within the counties, sometimes we've had to mediate when the county assembly and the executive are not getting along. So we bring you together and we mediate. and I have specially trained officers in mediation, and I am a certified mediator as well. So we do mediation to ensure we fact-find and bring peace instead of going to court. Then there is the public sensitization, and public sensitization is broad, but we start with sensitizing you on the report that we make, but we also have forums where we bring together various counties, for instance, and we teach the public about issues in the PFM like public participation and other such issues. Then we enforce budget ceilings. This one cannot be gainsaid because once the ceilings have been set by Parliament or by the County Assembly, then it becomes a criteria for me. When you bring a requisition, I must ensure that it is within the ceiling. If it's not, then at that point, I will stop it. But also, there are those broad ceilings that are set in the PFM, like the 30% development ceiling. We have the 35% wage bill, which we have been trying to enforce, and many others. So it is the responsibility of my office to do that. And lastly, on this is the monitoring and evaluation. And some of you may have met us during monitoring and evaluation. After you give us data, sometimes we may look at some data and find it either exaggerated or it looks too good to be true. So what do? We come to the ground. We say, oh, you told us you've collected so much. Can we see your books? Or you told us you have put up such a building. Can we see it? And we take pictures of it. We also take other various agenda in the PFM, and we walk around the counties and confirm. We are also intending to start doing that for national government, but because of lack of resources, we have not done the national government as well. So, if I can move from the roles, in case you have any questions on what we do, I'll be more than happy to explain. But as for now, I would like to move to the County Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the financial year 24-25. I indicated that the full report is coming out next week. It is right now with the printers, and we have only released the national government report for now. And Article 2286, as well as Section 9 of the Control of Budget Act, state as follows. The Control of Budget shall submit to each House of Parliament a report on the implementation of budgets of the national and county governments every 4 months. So what are the kind of reports that we give? We have, other than the budget implementation report, we also give an annual report under Article 254. This is a report to the President which outlines what the independent office has done throughout the year and how it has acted on the constitutional mandate as provided. We also have special reports. We have, just like I said before, investigation reports. We have reports on dispute resolution where there has been stoppage of funds. And we also have the M&E reports, and I'm sure many of you may have seen these M&E reports, which we make directly to the CECs of Finance and Planning. So what do these reports do for us? Just before I dive into health, I would like to look broadly on what we get from the reports. And we see that Section 5 of the CoB Act requires that these reports be made quarterly. And the purpose is to find measures to improve budget implementation. So this is a gap that the makers of our constitution found, that budget implementation was not being given its space, and instead we were waiting for the audit reports, and sometimes they were coming in very late. I remember at some point, audit reports were up to 5 years late. So the makers of the new constitution, and I call it new because it is the 2010 constitution, agreed that we needed regular reports on budget implementation. So really, that is why the CoB makes these reports. Then they become the basis upon which Parliament and the county assemblies can monitor the usage of public funds by the governments during the year. So we report during the year, not at the end of the year. So that if something has been found in Q1, you still have 9 months to improve on whatever has happened. So by reporting quarterly, then we have that chance. Then we look at accountability and transparency of government operations, which is meant to enhance public trust in the government as set out in Section 66 of the PFM Act of 2012. Thirdly, we also do it to detect and prevent abuse and unconstitutional conduct on the part of the government and public agencies in compliance with Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya. I'm sure we are all aware of our Gen Zs. Did you see them borrowing from the CoB reports? Yeah? They became experts at citing and quoting excerpts from those reports. So this is to detect and prevent abuse. But lastly, we also realize that these reports ensure that government policies are implemented. So the reports act as a report card, just the same way that students in school get a report card. This is also the financial report card to show you how you have performed as far as the budget is concerned. Now, the Parliament and County Assembly then, if they are to get these benefits above, must debate the control of budget reports. So these reports should be tabled in each House of Parliament as well as the county assemblies. The control of budget reports should then be examined by an appropriate committee of Parliament or county assembly, and the committee report should be tabled on the floor of the House. Now, the accounting officers must then prepare a report within 3 months on the action that they will take to implement the recommendations that have been made in the CoB report. And these are to be adopted. Number 1, adopted by the National Assembly in line with Section 68(3) of the PFM Act, and by the County Assembly in line with Section 149 of the PFM Act. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can see why the reports are prepared and what should be done with the reports. And as the Waziris for Health, I'm sure you can see your place within these reports. So what is the information then that we get in these reports? So in the CoB report, you will see the following. We analyze the approved budget or the supplementary budget, whichever it is, becomes the law against which the approval of the withdrawals are made. We also look at revenues. So we look at all the revenues, the equitable share, the conditional grants, the on-source revenue. We look at the A&A, and here is where the FIF also comes in. Then the report also gives the CoB approved withdrawals. So we give a summary of all the withdrawals that have been made through the exchequers. We also report on the recurrent and development expenditures separately, because we track what has happened both for the development and for recurrent. Further, we report on the expenditures by major economic classifications. So we look at the PE, the O&M separately for purposes of measuring performance. Further, we look at budget allocations and expenditures by departments and also by programs. Financial analysis of county budget implementation is done, and key issues and recommendations are provided so that action can be taken on the areas where there are shortcomings. I want to touch on some of the highlights of the report as of the end of June. So for the counties in financial year 24-25, the county total budget was 601.69 billion, and it comprised of 218.99 billion for development expenditure, which is 36%, and 382.7 billion, which is 64% for recurrent expenditure. So as far as the PFM goes, this was satisfactory. An average of 36% at budget level is perfect. Now, we will get to see how we did in terms of the spending. So the available funds were 533.11 billion, comprised of 418 billion in equitable share of revenue and 22.69 billion cash balances from the previous financial year, as well as 24.686 billion as additional and conditional allocations. Then there was 67.3 billion from own source revenues. So how did this fare in terms of the previous year? When we compare the previous year, we note that the realized own source revenue of 67.3 billion was 77% of the annual target. So the counties had planned to collect in total 87.67 billion. This target included the FIF/A&A of 24.59 billion. So you, the health ministers, you collected 24.59 billion in total. This 24.59 was against an annual target of 20.77 billion. So you performed at 118%. Clap for yourselves, please. So I just would like to encourage you to set your targets even higher. This time, this last year, you surpassed your own targets. Now, 28 counties exceeded the 24-25 FIF targets, and we'll be listing them. You will see them. The top of this, those ones who overshot the target was Mandera. Mandera, they overshot. They collected 4 times what they intended. Uasin Gishu, Uasin Gishu 294%. That is almost 3 times what they planned. And Kirinyaga 198. That is like double what they planned. Now, surprise, surprise, Nairobi and Kisii counties did not budget at all for FIF. Woi, I hope. Now, this is a bit discouraging, but I want to encourage them to budget for the FIF. It is a good area of developing our health sector. Now, Samburu County performed the least in terms of revenue generated, bringing in 9.11 million out of a target of 18.7. At least they tried 50%. So let's go to a few more highlights. Again, cumulative expenditures by 47 counties amounted to 470.74 billion, representing 78% of the budget. And since the counties received all their equitable share, and only 78%, it means that there was money left unspent. But maybe you may not confirm. It's not spent. So recurrent expenditures amounted to 346, that is 74%, and development expenditures were 123.76, which was only 26% of the budget. So development did very badly. Yeah. In terms of absorption rates, development expenditure was 57%, while the recurrent expenditure was at 91% of the annual allocation. So on recurrent, we did quite well. A breakdown of the current expenditure shows that wages amounted to 220.64, which is 47% of the total expenditures, and O&M was 126.34 billion, which was 27%. Do you see some laws being broken somewhere? Which one? Huh? How much is that O&M? We are saying an average of 47%. That is way above the legal limit, which is 35%. That means that many of the counties spent way above the legal limit. Then the health sector wage bill alone, now we separated, amounted to 96.51 billion, which was 44% of the total wage bill. Now that tells you again, 44% is almost 50% of the total wage bill. That means that the health sector really carries a lot of that wage bill burden. So, as we move on, out of the county government budget of 601.69 billion, the health sector was allocated 129.31 billion, which is 23% of the overall budget. These statistics might become useful somewhere. The allocation to the health sector of 141.62 billion comprised of 120.8 billion towards recurrent expenditure and 21.55 billion for development expenditure. And just to note that the county government with the lowest health budget allocation to total county budget at less than 10%. This is Baringo and Lamu, each at 9%. Then we have Nyandarua at 8%, Turkana at only 7%, and Kisumu at 6%. Please, there were waziris in the room from these counties. Muangalie, these allocations are a bit too low. Then we have those with the highest allocations, and Nyeri had 30%, Makueni, Nyeri, Makueni, and Nakuru, were at 36, Murang'a at 34, Kiambu and Machakos at 33, Kirinyaga and Kericho at 32%, and Nandi and Kitui at 31%. So that is how the counties are allocating resources to the counties. And there'll be more detail in the main report, which you can use and lobby for more allocations. There is a graphic demonstration there which shows you for the last 5 years how have the allocations been moving within the counties. And if you look, you will see that generally, these allocations have remained the same, isn't it? The blue is the county allocation to health, and the red is the actual expenditure by the health departments. I was shocked to see this, that it has actually remained almost the same, with just a slight increase in 24-25. Because we can see 21-22 expenditure was at 106, 22-23 it was at 110, 23-24 it was 111, almost the same again. Then 24-25 there was a bit of an increase to 123. So I believe that we are upward bound. So how were the expenditures like in the health sector? The health sector expenditure was 123 billion, as I have said up there, against a budget of 141, representing an absorption rate of 87%. The recurrent expenditure was 109.57 billion, while development was 14.17 billion. Not very encouraging in terms of the development expenditure. So that is an overview of the report card. Like I said, there will be more data in the report that is coming out. Please make it a point to visit the CoB website, and all these reports are there for free. You don't have to pay any fee to access these reports. And this is information that you can use to put the leaders to account, because you need to ask why you are being allocated so little, or why your expenditures are not moving the way they should. Now, you also know that my office is very keen on enhancing accountability. So when we look at the use of public funds in health, how do we ensure that this accountability is enhanced? So there are some suggestions that we are giving here. And the first suggestion is how to adhere to the Constitution in operationalizing the relevant committees under the Facility Improvement Fund. The health sector has been given a special consideration in the FIF Act. And in this FIF Act of 2023, the counties are expected to operationalize, first of all, to customize to the specific county from the National Act. And this is done through the relevant committees. And then we are there also as CoB to review your act and ensure that you have complied. And after that, you then continue transparently and accountably manage the funds from the FIF. Section 5 to 19 in Part 4 of the FIF Act deals with the management and administration of the FIF. Section 20 to 26, and I hope you can access this on your computers or on your phones. Part 5 deals with the financial provisions. Now you are expected, as the leaders, to build the capacity of these committees, to promote the effective collection and retention of the FIF revenue by the public health facilities. This is not money that is supposed to go and boost what the governor is doing. Ama namna gani? Are you supposed to collect FIF and take it to the governor? No, absolutely not. Then you need to enhance reporting on all FIF revenues collected by the public health facilities quarterly as prescribed in Part 5 of Section 23 of the Act itself. I don't know whether during this meeting you have made it a point to go through the FIF Act together and see any areas of difficulty which could be shared among yourselves. As we move on, we see that the review and approval of expenditure plans must be done in a timely manner. So when we have the authority, the AIEs, to health facilities, this must be done in a timely manner. We need to enhance supervision of health facilities to ensure optimal management of revenues. Further, we should provide planning and budgeting support to health facilities to ensure that there is integration into the county planning and budgeting process of all the issues that we have mentioned here. Further, to evaluate the quality of health services and the linkages to resource allocation decisions. And I emphasize the last one because, like I told you, some of your counties are allocating very, very little to health. So you must make sure that you are heard. But you can only be heard if you make your case. Because if you are just quiet and waiting for finance to give you the funds, they will not. We have a saying where I come from, that when you have those traditional cows, they used to be given the calf to suckle in readiness for milking. So which cow do you think is given the calf earliest? The noisiest. Wanasema yule ng'ombe analia kabisa, mpatie ndama. So if you are just quiet, and this is just this is my personal advice, please let your voice be heard. Don't just wait. Make your case, have your data, and make sure you are heard when the budget is being prepared. Yeah? Hata kama ni supplementary, make your case and let your voice be heard. Now, we also saw that in some places the absorption was very poor. Now, what leads to poor absorption? Why is it that you can fail to spend money that has been allocated to you? Who can tell me a few reasons why they have been unable to spend? Just one volunteer. Systems, Systems za wapi, za county ama za treasury? They can't be all.
Right now,
yes.
We are in September, right?
Yes.
This is the end of first quarter.
Yes.
And we are still waiting for the EGP mess. But you know, by October, you are going to release a report.
Yes.
Saying that County X has absorbed 0.5%.
Absolutely. I'm very good at that.
Then the newspapers will run away with it.
Lakini wacha niulize tena. When was your budget cleared? First of all, when did you submit your budget?
1 month ago. It was cleared yesterday.
Now, should we open the law here? What does the PFM Act say? County governments. When should the budget be presented? That is to the county assembly. When should the Appropriation Act be signed? August? Ebu niambie, this room is full of powerful people. When should the budget be ready? Okay, can somebody open somewhere in the law and tell us. I want something right from the law. Somebody to clarify to us. Then we'll start. Yes, Barasa. Tuambie, when should the budget be ready? Thank you. By 30th June. So by 4th, 5th of July, it should be in my office, being checked for compliance and being uploaded. Should. So, no, I'm going back to why we don't absorb. Huh? So why is it that we didn't have any budgets in my office until August? Unajua tukienda closely to look at the law, all the counties will be closed down. Yeah. You have broken the law, and that's not what the Constitution intended. So when we talk of systems breaking down, I think we are not being serious. The systems, like now the EGPS, for procurement, did it stop you paying your pending bills between the whole, for the whole month of July? It is because you didn't have a budget. You could not pay. You needed a budget. You needed to bring in the balances brought forward so that you start paying your pending bills and as you wait for EGPS. But where did the inertia then come in and nobody's moving and we are saying, oh, we are waiting for the control of budget to say we have not spent. Really? As I stand here, there are still 3 counties without a budget. Now, even if I gave them 4 months of equitable share, how are they going to absorb it? They will not. So there are some of these issues that we need to start looking at from the grassroots and ask ourselves, how do we fail? How do we start failing? Where does it start raining on us? Now, that is about the timing of the reports, and I know there is the politics of the county assemblies and how you relate and how you agree and the public participation, but all those things must be planned, strictly planned and done as per the plans. Then when we come to the actual absorption, it depends on whether you have formulated a realistic annual planning and budget documents. So we have the CIDP, the 5-year plan. And from the 5-year plan, you have prepared your ADP, the annual development plan. So you also have the strategic plan for the county. And all these documents need to speak to each other. So when you are crafting your programs, you must make sure that they are speaking to the planning documents. You don't just bring a wish list which is outside the planning documents. That is how we go wrong. And part of those planning documents is also planning on the human resource that is going to carry out those plans, which when we went around doing the M&E, we found out that the counties don't budget for the human resource. And yet the human resource is the one that has given them sleepless nights. Those are the nurses, those are the doctors who are always on the street. But the counties have decided not to look at the human resource. Woe to you, because the human resource will give you headache. Baka mwisho. Please start planning, yeah, for that particular aspects. Then you must adhere to the budgeting timelines. I cannot gainsay this. If you are late 1, 2, 3 months, then you are also going to be late in absorbing the 1, 2, 3 months. And I'm going to report you. And the newspapers will report you. Yes. As for me and my house, we'll do the reporting. Rosafi. So, you must also begin the procurement process early in the financial year. And how are you going to start a procurement process if the budget is not ready, if the procurement plan is not ready, but you are still saying you want to procure? How will you procure? You know, it's like you have a set of hurdles, and you want to jump a hurdle which is there in front, and you have left two other hurdles behind here. How are you going to jump over the 4 until you get to the 4th? You cannot. So you must start with the one nearest to you. Jump over it, go to the 2nd, and go to the 3rd before you can achieve what is there at the end. This is also accompanied by proper cash flow management. Proper cash flow management ensures that the strategies are developed whenever there is a delay in the disbursement of funds or under collection of FIF. Proper cash flow management in terms of what the priorities are, what is most urgent and important, followed by what is less important or less urgent. Staff capacity building, again, I cannot gainsay this, on the roles and the prescribed financial systems through close collaboration with the IFMIS Directorate. So if systems, like we mentioned here, that systems are some of the causes for our problems. What have we done to improve our capacity to understand these systems? Again, I don't know whether in this particular forum you have given some time to strategize on how you can understand the IFMIS better, the EGPS better, so that when we go to spend our money, we can spend in a timely manner. Because we can have money just sitting in the account and we can't touch it. That is a very sorry state of affairs. And lastly, all these affairs must be regularly monitored. The programs and activities that you have planned for must be regularly monitored for performance and reporting. So that means that you must enhance supervision of your activities. Ladies and gentlemen, for today, that is what I wanted to share, but I'm sure now we can have your part so that we can move on and finalize. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our control of budget. You've shared so much comprehensive insight on matters financial management and mostly in the health sector in counties. Of course, I think this is it's a discussion of its own because maybe since the incept of this government, we've not had an opportunity to sit in with you. So for the people who, and mostly the CoG who had planned for us to have this in this session, it's very important. So maybe before I go forward, I think it's important that we applaud for her and we give members an opportunity to ask 1 or 2 questions before we proceed. So who will, nani atatusaidia kumapplaud? Who was our energizer? Waziri Uasin Gishu wants to. Thank you.
We are going to do the factorial, where we'll start with 5 downwards to 1. Are we ready? Next. Aya, we are going 5, start.
Thank you. So I am seeing. Yes. Okay, I'm directed that we do DHA presentation and then a plenary for the two, which if it's agreeable, we can go by that. But yes. Okay, thank you. So it is agreed that we do a plenary for this session. It's actually very important. So nimeona waziri hapa ameinua mkono zaidi, so I'll allow him.
Thank you so much. I'm Colonel Dr. Konyango, retired, Waziri Health, Siaya. I proceed? Okay. Thank you so much. Once again, I thought the chair would give you close protection so that you are not alone there. Allow me to start by appreciating our controller of budget. In fact, it is an honor, especially for me. I was so elated I had to run down there and just greet you because I've only been seeing you in View Sasa and all those other places. And we really appreciate the work you do. We admire it very much. Actually, what I admire most about you is the courage. And I want to confess that some of us keep on praying for you. Now, on that note, I'll not ask very many difficult things. I'll just ask small things. And these two things are just about your views. One is about one time, if I'm not wrong, there was hue and cry about some institutions having so many accounts. Some were reaching, I don't know, 200, I don't know, 300. So with all these latest changes that we have had about audit and budget and whatever, and what is your latest opinion? Do you agree that some of our counties and departments like health can have those many accounts? That's your latest opinion about this. The second one, again, is your view about this. You mentioned it, about the ceilings, where we are talking about the wage bill, ceiling of 35%. Again, what is your opinion? Is this thing really realistic? Can we just be sticking at 35% when we know the salaries will keep on increasing every year? And many of our counties, actually, they're staffing. The HRH is at a very low percentage. Like in Siaya, I think I am only less than 40% workforce. So if we reach 100%, will this wage bill ceiling just remain at 35? What is your latest opinion? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Controller of Budget and colleagues. Good morning. My name is Architect Martin Tairo, CEC, Taita Taveta County, substantively for Public Works and Infrastructure, but I'm holding brief for my colleague and boss who is out of the country currently. I had two issues. Number one is to applaud your office for the work that you do. I think it's important. I know collectively as counties at times we might have issues with the office of the Controller of Budget, but individually as departments within counties, we know our treasury departments have a tendency of misbehaving, and there are times we process payments and then they go and they get approved and people pay other people. I don't know what is happening about that. I think that's a big issue that has been raised and that you are dealing with. But we applaud the work that you do. One thing I wanted to mention, when you are doing your quarterly reports, in as much as the control of budget, you are reporting based on facts of exactly what has happened within the counties, I think it's important that at times we bring in the context. Because what you do is you give ammunition. You know, devolution is under serious attack. And when you make some of those reports without giving context, it gives ammunition to those people who actually don't like devolution, and they keep attacking county governments that they are not working. And this is the aspect of absorption against what is actually happening in the counties. I'll give an example, like in the Department of Infrastructure and even in health. When we carry out development projects, the nature of those projects is that they take a bit of time, and many a times up to the end of the financial year for them to be concluded. So procurement would have actually happened to 100% of the votes available in the budget. But I believe as you assess absorption, you're looking at what has actually been paid. So that is why up to the third quarter, or even at times towards the end of the financial year, you would report that a county has consumed 100% of recurrent, but only 8 or 9% of development budget. But it's not because development is not happening. It's just that it is happening, but it has not yet been completed and paid. So I feel like when you are making these reports, it's important, because the moment you just release it like that, then it gets taken out of context, and now we are being told that as counties you're not carrying out any development, and it brings a lot of issues. Thank you very much.
So let me take one more, tafadhali, and allow her to respond.
Thank you, Control of Budget. Mine is only 2 issues. First of all, I want to congratulate you because we are told you are a person of integrity, and you are really of integrity. The only problem are the junior officers. Before anything, you know, we are not directly in communication to your office, but it is our county treasury. And before anything is approved, we are told that lazima bebe the brown bahasha. But it's not reaching you. It's your juniors. So we want a clarity on the same. The other one is about, you mentioned about allocation to health. My county is Baringo. They allocated 9%. So I want you to assist us here, because the people who set for us the ceilings is the county assembly. When we do our budget at the departmental level, when it comes back, we find it has been mutilated almost 50%. So how do we go about this? Through your guidance, Asante.
Okay, let me take one more. I've been told to ensure there is gender balance amongst the waziris.
Thank you very much. My name is Monica from Elgeyo Marakwet, CCM Health. I just have one question to Madam